everybody, it's Dana. Welcome back. We are to day 11 of my card series and we have one more day to go. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm using a Mama Elephant Joy Ornaments. I love this stamp set, and of course every year I have to do something that has my last name in it. So for today, we're going to do a little bit of watercoloring. So I placed down a piece of watercolor paper into my Misty machine, and I'm going to grab my ruler, my T ruler for the Misty, to get my joy lined up where I want it. Now, anytime I do sentiment that I'm like stamping on a card panel, I like to use a straight edge to make sure I'm getting it where I want it. Now, I'm going to use the gorgeous little snowflake in the middle of my joy for my O. And I just want to make sure everything gets lined up correctly. Now, you could do this kind of cattywampus if you want to give it a different kind of feel. But I just want to make sure that this is sitting nice and straight. Now, since I have that in place, I can go ahead and close my Misty lid and pick that up. Now, if I need to do any kind of adjustments on anything, like I want to adjust my snowflake just a tad bit more, I'm going to be able to pull that off, but I know I'm going to be centered. So I'm kind of placing my finger down where I know the tip of that snowflake was, and then I can just place it right back down, and I know I'm going to be centered. And I'll flip that over just to make sure that's exactly where I want it. And that looks pretty darn good. And we're going to go ahead and start stamping this. I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo Black ink for my ink today. And I'll stamp that, and I'm going to make sure that I stamp it at least twice because I want to make sure that I get a good impression. Now, anytime you're using watercolor paper, obviously you know that there is a texture to it. And this paper here is cold pressed watercolor paper. So I know that there's going to be some texture to this. So once I lift it up, I just want to make sure that I stamp one more time. Because of those grooves in the paper, you have a tendency to miss a couple of spots. So if you double stamp, you'll be able to get those crisp lines that you're looking for when you make cards. All right, that looks perfect, and now I'm going to get onto my watercoloring. Now, I did heat set this a little bit with my heat gun because I did stamp it twice, and I'm bringing in a clipboard and some masking paper. Now, the reason I'm going to tape this down is I just don't want a lot of bowing in this paper because this is going to be the main part of my card panel. And anytime you can have, just take the extra step to tape your card panel down, you'll decrease the amount of bowing that you'll have in your paper. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you want to have less warping, just take this step. It really is a time saver in the end to make sure that your card panel is going to be as flat as you can possibly get it. All right, I have that done, and now I'm going to bring in my watercolors. This is a very inexpensive palette that I picked up from Amazon. I want to say it was like $14 maybe. I'll link to another video and where I use a very similar color palette or color kit, I guess. But I went ahead and swatched out all the colors so I knew what they would look like. And there are, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 3, 18 colors in this one. Public math, I know, crazy. But anyway, these are the pastel colors, and they're so very pretty, and I thought they would look really great with this joy image. Now, it does come with its own little water brush, but I don't care for the water brushes, so I'm just going to bring in my own little paintbrush and my dish of water. Now, what I want to do with this one is I want to have some gradient color on this joy. I want it to be light and pastel, but I want my colors to fade. So I'm going to go ahead and start wetting that beautiful pink color and take it over to my J. Now, this you can see is kind of full strength. You're really seeing that gorgeous corally pink color, but I want this color to fade out, and that's how I want to do all of my watercoloring today. So as you can see, I'm going to add a little bit more water, and I'm going to start pulling down that pigment. So as I pull down, it's going to get lighter and lighter. Now, since the paper is wet, I can go ahead in and add a little bit more of that color, and it's still going to be diluted because my paper is wet. So I'll just drag that over, grab myself a little bit more water, and then I'm just going to take that very little bit of paint that I put down and start dragging it into the other color, to the wet color. And as you can see, that's going to start blending very, very nicely. I love doing gradient work, and I like practicing it. So even if I'm not stamping or coloring anything for a card, I just like to play around with my watercolors to see the light fast I can get for it and the color variation. So I pulled in just a little bit more of that pink, and then I'll just drag the rest over with my water, and I'll get a very, very light shade of that. Now I'm going to do this on all of this. I want everything to be gradient. So now since I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and clean off my brush, and I'm going to go into this gorgeous green color, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to start full strength, and then I'm going to soften it up. I went ahead and used a beautiful soft blue to do that gorgeous snowflake, and I'm just filling in the rest of that. You can see around the outside of the petals or the snowflake edges is a little bit darker than the center of this. I really love how these colors play well together, and I really love this pastel color palette. It's kind of different for me because I don't do a lot of pastel colors, but when I saw these colors and I played with them earlier before I did the video, I really love this color combination. All right, now since I finished up that, I do want to bring in a little bit of sparkle. So I have the new Pixie dust from Ink on 3, and it's this beautiful metallic and shimmery paint. Now it comes with a little dauber, but you want to shake this up in case anything has settled towards the bottom of the bottle. So you just want to make sure to give this a good shake so you can see that all of that gorgeous glittery happiness is moving throughout that water. Once I have that all shaken up, I'm just going to take a little bit of this with the little dauber on the top and place it right down on my little palette. Now this product can be used with paint. You can mix it in paint. You can use it separately like I'm using here. It's very, very versatile, and man, is the shimmer gorgeous. So I just added a little bit of water to that, and then I'm going to come in and start painting in all of these images. Now this product is I love this product better than having like a shimmer pen because I feel like I have more control over it. Sometimes when you're using the shimmer pens, if you shake them too hard, you kind of get like a blob in the beginning that you need to pull. This allows me to be very precise where I want to put all this shimmer. So now since I've gone all the way around and I've done every single one of these images, I'm going to go ahead and tilt this up so you can see how gorgeous this is. But first, I want to add a few stars. I felt like this was just a little bit too stark for me. So I grabbed one of the stars out of the same stamp set, that Joy Ornament stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp a few of these randomly around this Joy. I just feel like there's too much white space going on, and I need to fill that up. So I'm just going to lay them all the way across this panel. Now, remember, I think I've told you guys this, many, many times before. Anytime you're stamping, you want to make sure that your image goes off of the paper. You don't want your image to just stop. You want to make sure that you run it off. So when you do trim this down, it looks appropriate to the paper. I'm going to heat set this. Again, I know that this might run a little bit, this ink. Even though I just stamped it once, I do want to make sure that I heat set these stars so I don't get any bleed on these. Now, since I have them all dried, I can go on to the next part, and that's going to be filling in these. All right, now since I have that all dried, I am going to use that sparkle again, that gorgeous pixie dust. And I'm going to add this directly to the stars. So I'm not going to add any color to this at first. I just want some very shimmery stars without having any color in it. And as you can see, I don't really have to use much of this product. So I think this product's going to last me for quite some time. I'm just randomly coming in and placing down just some of the clear color on this, and you'll really be able to see the sparkle on this. And then I went ahead and added a little bit of green to my palette. And I'm just pulling in some of that pixie dust with it. And then I'll mix some blue on my palette and grab a little bit of pixie dust with that one. And then I'll be able to have some gorgeous colors. Now I do want to add one more, and this is the pinky color. So I'm mirroring every color that I have on my palette. I'm mirroring that color as well into these gorgeous little stars. And I think that this just brings a little bit more color to this palette without really distracting too much from the joy sentiment. So I'll finish up the last few that I have here. And as you can see, these are very, very light as well. I didn't worry about the gradient too much on these stars. I just really wanted to add the color in. Now, since I have that done, I can go ahead and let this dry back just a tad bit. And if you wanted to, you can set this aside. I don't have the time or the patience for that. So I'm just going to grab my heat tool and I'm going to speed up the heating on this. Now, if you wanted to, like I said, you can totally put this aside, let it air dry, go away, have a cup of coffee, have some lunch, and then come back and do this. But I have a tendency when I make cards, I don't have patience for that. I just want to get to the good part. All right, I have that all dried back, and now I can go ahead and remove the tape. Now, anytime you're using masking tape, be careful to pull back on your tape, not pulling up, because that will rip your paper. So you always want to peel from the top and drag your tape down on itself. This will prevent any tearing of your beautiful project. All right, I have that all done, and look how gorgeous. Now, I'm going to tilt this so you can see that sparkle. I really wish cameras could pick up better the sparkle and shine that we see on our cards, but I'm going to try to do my best to tilt that so you can see how beautiful that pixie dust is. All right, now since I have this down, we can go ahead and start making the card panel. I do want to cut this down, and that's why I say, you guys, always make sure that you run your image off your paper so that your design looks like it was intentionally running off your paper. It doesn't look like it's just been floating on your paper with no place to go. I'll trim down all four corners because I did have that masking tape there, and it did give me the opportunity to have a nice sharp line to be able to trim this panel down. So once I have that down, I am ready to go ahead and start building up my card. And look how gorgeous that is. Just a very simple and clean card. Another one that's very, very easy to mass produce. I am going to go ahead and give this card a tad bit more of dimension or height to this, and I'm just going to add some foam tape to the back. Now, you can also grab yourself some fun foam if you want to, and just cut down a square that would fit right behind your card panel. But I have some of this double-sided tape that I just want to use up. It's not a brand that I use very often because I actually use my 3M foam tape. So I just want to kind of use this tape up and get it out of my stash. So I'll go ahead and press that down to the back. And now this is, like I said earlier, going to be a very clean and simple card. I'm not going to add much fuss to this because I really just want it to be a simplistic card and one that I can easily mass produce and give out this year. So I'll pull off the back of this foam tape. And I'm sorry if you hear a little bit of noise in the background. My husband's doing some home projects, and I'm not going to stop him. Once he's on the roll, I like to keep him that way. I'll just pull off this last piece here, and then I can go ahead and flip this over onto my card base. And this is Nina Solar White 110-pound card base. And then I'll go ahead and press that down. I am going to add in a few more gems just for a little bit of sparkle on this card. And I'll just use, these are just some clear sequins in different sizes. And I'll just layer those around my card panel. And I'll use my Nuvo glue and my pick tool that I picked up from Amazon to get these in place. Now again, you can use sequins on this or you can just leave it by itself, but I did after a while think I needed to add a little bit more sparkle to this card. All right, and that is going to finish day 11. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and we'll be back for the last day, day 12 soon. See you guys later. Bye-bye.